You are not at war with your mind. You have simply never been shown how it is adjusted. Your mind is not a battlefield. It is a thermostat. And for the first time, you are being handed the manual. What you call fear, doubt, hesitation. These are not fixed conditions. They are positions. Positions along a single, continuous scale. And in this conversation, we are going to examine the Hermetic principle of polarity, not as abstract philosophy, but as a working mechanism, so that you may understand with precision how one moves from the pole of fear to the pole of courage, not by force, not by denial, but by lawful adjustment. You already sense something is inconsistent. There are days when you feel composed, clear, capable, and there are moments, sometimes within the same hour, when that clarity dissolves. A small uncertainty enters, and it expands. A conversation replays itself. A future scenario forms, and without quite noticing when it happened, you are no longer calm. You are tense. No external event has changed significantly, yet internally, the entire landscape feels different, and you ask yourself quietly, why does my mind shift like this? The misinterpretation, the common answer you have been given is this: you are dealing with different emotions, separate forces. Fear is one thing, courage is another. Confidence must replace insecurity. Calm must defeat anxiety. And so, without realizing it, you begin to treat your own mind as divided. One part to be encouraged, another to be suppressed. This is where the struggle begins. Because if these are truly separate forces, then control becomes a battle. And most people, over time, grow tired of fighting themselves. The mental mechanism, polarity explained. But the Hermetic teaching offers a more precise observation. It is stated, opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Pause and consider this carefully. Not different in kind, not separate substances, different in degree. This changes the entire structure of the problem. Fear and courage are not opposing forces. They are two ends of the same mental scale, just as heat and cold are not different things, but varying intensities of temperature, just as light and darkness are not separate, but degrees of illumination. So too, what you call fear and what you call courage are expressions of the same underlying mental energy, the illusion of emotional duality. You have been naming positions as if they were entities. When the intensity is low, you call it calm. When it increases, you call it concern. When it intensifies further, you call it fear. But the substance has not changed, only the degree. And because the names change, you assume the nature has changed. This is the illusion, the mental slider. Let us make this visible. Imagine a horizontal line. On one end, paralysis. On the other, decisive action. Between them, hesitation, evaluation, alertness, readiness. You are always somewhere on this line, never fixed, never trapped, simply positioned. This is what you have never been taught. You are not becoming afraid. You are moving along a scale. You are not losing confidence. You are shifting position. And movement implies something important. It can be directed. The role of attention. Atkinson emphasizes the training of the habit mind through repeated, directed thought. This is not abstract advice. It is mechanical instruction. Because attention determines position, where your attention rests, your mental state stabilizes. If attention remains fixed on imagined failure, you move toward the lower pole. If attention is gently redirected toward possibility, you begin to rise, not instantly, but reliably. Why? Force fails. This is why most attempts at control fail. You try to jump from fear directly into courage, from anxiety directly into calm. But the mind does not move in leaps. It moves in increments. To demand a sudden shift is to misunderstand the mechanism. and misunderstanding produces frustration, practical mental repositioning. So the question is not, how do I eliminate fear? The question is, what is the next degree above where I am? If you are overwhelmed, the next step is not confidence, it is steadiness. If you are doubtful, the next step is not certainty, it is partial willingness. These are small adjustments, but they are real movements along the scale. Directed thought practice. Begin with observation. When a negative state arises, do not label it as failure. Instead, locate it. Ask, where am I positioned right now? Then introduce a slight redirection, not an opposite thought, but a neighboring one. From, this will go wrong, to I do not yet know the outcome. From, I cannot handle this, to I have handled difficult things before. These thoughts are not dramatic, but they are structurally effective. They shift position, repetition, and habit formation. The importance of disciplined attention and repeated mental action is emphasized because repetition stabilizes position. What you return to consistently becomes your default. This is how character forms, not through sudden transformation, but through repeated adjustment. If this perspective is helping you think more clearly about your own mind, subscribe. These ideas deepen over time. Integration. Now return to your original frustration, the inconsistency, the emotional swing, the sense of losing control. You are not unstable. You are simply moving without awareness of the scale. Once you see the scale, you no longer interpret movement as failure. You interpret it as position, and position can be adjusted. This removes a certain kind of pressure. You no longer demand perfection. You begin to work with direction, the quiet discipline. There is nothing dramatic about this process. No sudden transformation, no emotional explosion, only quiet, consistent adjustment, a slight redirection of attention, repeated over time. And gradually, the center of your scale changes. What once felt like effort becomes natural. What once overwhelmed you becomes manageable, not because the world changed, but because your position did. Philosophical close. Most people attempt to fight themselves. They divide their own mind into opposing forces and exhaust themselves in the conflict. But there is no conflict, only misunderstanding. There is no battle between fear and courage. There is only a scale and your place upon it. And once you understand that, you no longer ask how to win against your mind. You begin to learn how to adjust it. Most people spend their lives reacting to their thoughts. Few ever study their structure, and fewer still realize that mastery was never force but position.